All right, bitches. So, with the recent events in the Future Trunks, Goku Black, Zamasu arc that's going on in Dragon Ball Super, I wanted to take a chance to kind of look at the Dragon Ball Super manga and just highlight a lot of the differences and changes there are between the two versions. We've got the manga version written by the artist Toyotaro, and then of course we also have the anime done by Toei Animation. Now, as I understand it, what happens is Akira Toriyama, the original creator of the Dragon Ball manga, the original author, he creates a storyboard, and I guess he gives it to Toyotaro, the manga creator, and he also gives it to Toei Animation. And I guess it's just sort of a general outline. Like, for the Universe 6 arc, it just, he kind of has what happens. Like, Goku beats Botamo, loses to Frost, who cheats. Piccolo loses to Frost, who cheats. Vegeta beats Frost. Vegeta beats Vegeta. Vegeta loses to Hit. Goku, loses to Hit. Monica beats Hit. Just kind of stuff like that. And then he leaves it to Toyotaro and then Toei Animation to just, fill in a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the blanks as they see fit. Now, because of this has led to some kind of big differences in the two versions, and I wanted to talk about some of that today. Now, the first 4 chapters of the manga here, I should point out that the Dragon Ball Super manga, as of right now, there have been 16 chapters released. And I'm recording this a little while after watching episode 60 that came out today of Dragon Ball Super. Now, the first 4 chapters correlate to the Battle of the Gods, movie and arc. And most of it moves kind of the same. It seems to be based more along events that happen in the movie rather than the anime. What with, the locations of where Goku and Beerus are fighting in the city, and then, Beerus leaving from space, sort of in, like, the same way they're talking, whereas, Goku's kind of floating up there in space. Remember, in the Super anime, Goku fell from space and landed back down on Bulma's ship. Now, there's 2 kind of interesting key differences that we see here in these first 4 chapters. One is Old Kai and Kabito Kai are watching Champa move throughout the universe in their, the little crystal ball that the Old Kai conjures up all the time. And they see Vados and Champa collecting the Super Dragon Balls, and they hear Champa refer to wish orbs. And in order to try and keep these out of Champa's hands, Old Kai thinks they must be talking about the wish orbs, the Dragon Balls of planet Namek. Because remember, that was the place originally where Old Kai and Kabito Kai went at the end of the Kid Buu arc in order to, have Purunga come, bring Earth back and all that stuff. So what happens is Kabito Kai goes to Namek, collects all the Dragon Balls, but then Old Kai realizes that those aren't what Champa is after, and he tells Kabito Kai just to leave him and come back. But then what happens is that's where Kabito Kai makes the wish to Purunga, and he reverts back into Supreme Kai and then Kabito. Now, honestly, to me, the number one reason I think they were reverted back was because of the connection between the God of Destruction and the Kaioshin, aka Supreme Kai. Because of that life link, I think Toriyama wanted to make it clear exactly which, Supreme Kai, Kaioshin that Beerus was linked to. So that's why he kind of had them separate, just to clear any confusion that might have come up by, Kabito and Supreme Kai fusing in the first place. And then the other difference that's notable enough for me to talk about here is Beerus mentions the 12 universes here to Goku. You don't really hear about the universes in Dragon Ball Super until after the Resurrection F arc, but here Beerus mentions it to Goku before leaving. I think he says that too in the extended edition of Battle of the Gods, and that's what I meant more of how this arc in the manga is based more on the movie than, the anime arc. Then Chapter 5 actually skips all the way to the Universe 6 arc, the beginning of the Universe 6 arc. What happens is it just completely skips over the Resurrection Frieza arc. They don't even really get into that. The chapter opens up with Goku and Vegeta doing some training, and this is the moment where Whis bestows the name of Super Saiyan Blue rather than Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, and Whis makes a reference to the fact that they had already defeated Golden Frieza. So the Resurrection Frieza arc kind of happens, just not, essentially on screen on the pages here. Another thing that is interesting is you do actually see, throughout the next couple of chapters, you see a little bit of a flashback to a fight that Beerus and Champa have, in which they destroy some planets while battling. And I think this is actually quite a missed opportunity for the anime. Honestly, if like episode 30 or so would have just been a complete flashback to a previous fight between Beerus and Champa, I don't think anyone would have complained about that. That is a huge golden missed opportunity there. Now, a lot of the battles in the Universe 7 vs. Universe 6 tournament, they're similar enough with some differences. There's not really much to talk about until really we get to the Vegeta vs. Kabe fight, where, that goes exactly the same. And then next, of course, is Vegeta vs. Hit, and Vegeta is beaten kind of easily, from Hit. Now, as it's later stated by Goku and Whis, it's hard to tell if this is present in the anime. Probably not. But here in the manga, the transformation to Super Saiyan Blue is a gigantic drain on stamina. Enough so that Whis says that, Vegeta transformed Super Saiyan Blue to beat Kabe, but when he did it to fight Hit, he was down to less than 10% of his total battle power. So that is a huge, huge drop-off, and that does explain why Vegeta was defeated by Hit so easily when, him and Goku do essentially have the same power. Now, Hit is completely different in the manga, where, remember in the anime, they really are showing up and talking up, Hit's ability to improve. Now, in the manga, Hit never has this ability to improve rapidly like he does in the anime. What Hit has is a full power he can go to that is, I think, about maybe on par with Super Saiyan Blue or a little weaker, but Hit is only able to maintain that supreme power of his for 1 minute. So I'm guessing that, in the anime version, this is probably just a detail that they forgot to mention or kind of just slipped through the cracks that, the Super Saiyan Blue transformation is supposed to have this gigantic negative effect on them if they try and do it multiple times. Now, Goku does mention in the anime that it has a huge drain on stamina, but that's it. It's never really, outright shown or anything like that. Now, another thing we see here that doesn't happen in the anime is during Goku's battle with Hit. In the anime, Goku stayed in his base state for a while he was trying to figure out a way to counter Hit's time skip. And, eventually went Super Saiyan, and then finally, once he had a strategy, he went Super Saiyan Blue. Here in the manga, Goku actually takes his Super Saiyan God form with the red hair. Now, it's not entirely clear in the anime if Goku is incapable of going to this form or not. That's really, really unclear, and it hasn't been stated either way. But this is kind of proof that the Super Saiyan Blue form is stronger than, the Super Saiyan Red, the Super Saiyan God form, and Goku uses this form to battle Hit for a little bit before eventually stepping up to Super Saiyan Blue. Now, another thing that's different here in the manga is that the Super Saiyan Blue is so powerful that it completely nullifies Hit's time skip ability. Goku is so powerful in his Super Saiyan Blue form that time skip doesn't work at all on him, which obviously was, way, way fucking different in the anime. Now, a lot of the events that follow after that are pretty much the same. So then we get onto the most recent 3 chapters of the Super manga. Chapter 16, Chapter 15, and Chapter 14. These are chapters that are correlating directly to the future Trunks arc. Now, there is some key differences that really bring to light some interesting things. Now, a lot of the events up until Trunks' arrival in the present, and when he begins talking with Goku, Bulma, and Vegeta, is pretty similar. It's a little different, but nothing too crazy. Now, where it veers off a little bit from the anime is when Trunks is describing what happened with Supreme Kai and his battle with Boo and Deborah. Now, this starts out in chapter 14, where it's revealed to Beerus that the Supreme Kai was actually killed during his fight with, Deborah and Bobbity. And then it's discussed about, the life link between the Supreme Kai and Beerus. Now, you also do see a large flashback period in which you see the events. It's expanded upon much more in the manga than it is in the anime, which, again, this is another missed opportunity for the anime. In the manga, we see, Trunks is being trained with the Z-Sword in a very similar fashion that Gohan was. He has that same, Supreme Kai type garb that was given to him by Kibito and Supreme Kai as, it was given to Gohan when he was training with the Z-Sword. And then you see the actual events of the battle, like, really, really go on and take place. Kibito is killed by Deborah in much the same manner he's taken out, in the present timeline where Goku and the gang eventually fought Majin Buu. Now, up to this point, Trunks has been fighting Deborah, and it looks like Deborah is a little stronger than Trunks. He slowly is getting the advantage and, starting to beat Trunks down. But with Kibito's death, that actually causes Trunks to ascend to Super Saiyan 2, where he's then able to defeat Deborah and, kills Bobbity in the process. Now, the Supreme Kai you do see was, injured gravely from his wounds, and he dies. Another thing that happened that was really important is the sword Trunks actually takes into battle against Deborah is the Z-Sword. And Deborah spits on the Z-Sword, turning it into stone. But then we see the next panel is Deborah shooting out his flame breath. Remember, he has that ability, which completely incinerates the Z-Sword, completely destroying it. And this is the manga author of the author of the Dragon Ball Super manga, this guy is really on point. Akira Toriyama is notoriously forgetful, and I almost feel like, that sort of carefree personality of his, he probably based Goku a little on himself, I'm guessing, and I think that Toei Animation kind of picked up a lot of his tendencies of just kind of lax with the details. But this man, Toyotaro, he is on fucking point, because it's very clear they show you how the Z-Sword is completely incinerated, to where it's completely destroyed. Like, think of how Gohan killed Cell, to where, every single part of Cell was completely incinerated, so Cell couldn't recover. The same thing happens to the Z-Sword here, thus killing Old Kai in the process. Because remember, Old Kai was sealed in the Z-Sword, and this explains why Old Kai was not, released from the Z-Sword. Also, this clears up a fact that just in case Beerus is linked to Old Kai and not the Supreme Kai, we see this clearly is going to be Old Kai's death scene. As the Z-Sword is destroyed, Old Kai is sealed inside of it. He is destroyed as well. So if that's the person that Beerus was linked to, not, the normal Supreme Kai, then he was dead as well, thus, making sense why Beerus is dead. Now, a lot of this training that Trunks underwent helps explain another change that happens in the manga, which is where Goku and Trunks have their little sparring match, just like what happens in the anime. But in the manga, when Trunks goes up to Super Saiyan 2, his absolute full power, it's noted that at minimum he's exactly as strong as Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and he actually overpowers Goku a little bit. And then it's kind of like you only see Goku's foot, like, Goku disappears and you only see his leg kick Trunks and Goku wins their little sparring match. And Beerus notes that Goku actually went Super Saiyan God for a moment, and that's what and allowed him to beat Trunks. So what happens is that Trunks, this scene is clearly put here to show just how high, like, Trunks' power is, because, eventually he does fight with, Zamasu and Goku Black. So they want to really show like how strong he is. Now remember, in the anime, Super Saiyan 3 Goku kind of beat Trunks pretty easily, but here in the manga, Goku had to step it up to Super Saiyan God in order to defeat Trunks, which I think is an important detail if, again, he's going to be battling with, Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black, who's able to defeat Vegeta and put a whooping on Goku as well. Now, another thing that's completely skipped here in the manga is Goku Black does not he doesn't follow Trunks to the past the way he does in the anime and has, his little battle with Goku for an episode. That never takes place. Goku Black does not come back to the past. And really, in hindsight, thinking about it, that fight was just a filler fight. It really didn't amount to very much going on in the anime, I suppose, besides, drawing Beerus and Whis' attention, really making them kind of, curious as to what's going on. Whereas in the manga, Beerus and Whis decide to go into action once they hear that Goku Black likely targeted a timeline that did not have Beerus present in it. You also see a scene in chapter 16 here where Goku Black, he's remained in the future after Trunks has left, and he thinks aloud to himself that he has already destroyed all of the Supreme Kais of all 12 universes in Trunks' timeline, thus killing all 12 Gods of Destructions that are in Trunks' timeline. So in that future timeline of Trunks, all of the gods have been taken out by Goku Black. So that's a big detail that I am guessing is probably going to come up sometime soon in the anime, but it hasn't been mentioned yet. So this is probably almost like a minor spoiler. I have to assume Zamasu and Goku Black are going to talk about this a little bit in the next episode, which is where they reveal the Zero Mortals plan. Now, the last difference that you see, this actually might be divulged, this info, in the next episode, the Zero Mortals plan as well. The first shot where we're introduced to Zamasu in the manga here is he's having a sparring match with Kibito, and you see the Supreme Kai there, and Zamasu discusses with Supreme Kai and Kibito how much he admires them as gods for taking down Majin Buu, and two things are said here. One, this is kind of an excuse as to why Beerus wasn't the one to take down Buu, which really he should have been. But obviously, Toriyama had not come up with the idea for the God of Destruction yet. So it's not really a retcon, but this does kind of fix in a tiny, tiny, minuscule plot hole here, where Kibito mentions that really it should have been Beerus' job, but the Universe 7 God of Destruction, Beerus, likes to sleep a lot and is very lazy, explaining why Beerus didn't take Majin Buu down, and, that does make sense. And then immediately following that, Supreme Kai and Kibito mention to Zamasu about Son Goku, who was instrumental in defeating Majin Buu, and this is the first time Zamasu hears about Goku. Now, up until, this week's episode, episode 60, where, Goku Black revealed what his true identity was, the fact that he is a Zamasu who used the Super Dragon Balls to switch minds and bodies with, the Goku of that timeline. Now, I'm going to make a separate video talking about the Dragon Ball timelines, because that shit gets so nuts and crazy. But, originally, the fact that Zamasu learned about Son Goku from Supreme Kai made a lot more sense than, Zamasu going nuts after his little sparring match with Goku that he had in the anime. And then remember Whis' theory that, Goku Black was, a fake servant created by Zamasu from the Super Dragon Balls. But really, this difference right here doesn't mean that much anymore, because it's pretty clear to me that Goku Black is coming from a completely different timeline. Again, I'll make a separate video where I go into a lot of this stuff in detail, but the Zamasu who eventually switches with Goku's body to become Goku Black comes from a completely different timeline. Thus, there is no plot hole loop that was looked to be created before, of where, future Trunks comes back from the future and tells everyone about Goku Black. which causes, Goku and the gang to go see Zamasu, Zamasu is a lead. And then after fighting Goku, that's where Zamasu goes on to create Goku Black. But that doesn't make sense because that only would have happened because Goku Black showed up in Trunks' future originally. So this clearly, that's not the case. We don't have to worry about that plot hole anymore. That's not going to be the case since the Zamasu in the present timeline, in the anime I should mention, was taken out and does not have a role in creating Goku Black, which is good. So that plot hole is not going to be relevant. Alright, so this pretty much covers all of the differences between the Dragon Ball Super anime and the manga. Some interesting things that might, merit some closer eyes being drawn to the anime with, does the Super Saiyan Blue really have this big, transformation cost? Are all of the Kais dead in Trunks' future? I'm sure these things will get answers later on. Can Goku take the red Super Saiyan God form? We'll see. But I guess I'll see you guys for the next Dragon Ball video I do on the channel here. I'm really, really enjoying making a lot of this Dragon Ball content here.